We'd like to start by thanking a few individuals who helped make this evening possible. The high school Atlas and Wax News teams prepared the auditorium and the digital featurette. The school food service workers prepared the cookies to follow in the cafeteria in the hall. I would also like to thank the inductees presenters for taking their time to bring to life the athletic profiles of our inductees, as well as the families and friends present this evening to celebrate this honor. Lastly, I would like to thank the Wall of Fame committee members for their time in reviewing all the candidates.
While preparing for tonight's ceremony, it occurred to me that all the inductees that competed in this class were actually here, playing games, earning records in many cases at Alden here during the decade from 2008 to 2018. Really, what a remarkable time for the Alden Bulldogs. I consider that something of a golden age during that time period. And when you look at some of the records going to regionals, going almost to states here, some state championships, it was a great period in our athletic history. Looking around this room tonight also and seeing some people as we come in, not just the inductees, there's a lot of the reasons why amongst us right here tonight. A lot of you graduated during that time period or competed here during that same exact time period. So I'm not sure if this auditorium has some kind of upper limit for talent, but I think we might be in excess of that if so. Consider for a moment just a brief glimpse at some of the accomplishments of tonight's inductees. Brian Stolt cannot physically be present this evening as he's currently in Tempe, Arizona helping Coach Leipold's Kansas Jayhawks prepare to take on Arizona State Sun Devils tomorrow at 5 p.m. You can watch it on ESPN2. Nick Orlowski continues to serve on the Alden Scholarship Committee, helping the next generation of Alden students, runners, develop all around Western New York. Phil, to my knowledge, is the only Alden High School football player to earn a full ride scholarship to play Division I football. The athletes on the 2015 girls varsity softball team have gone on to so many varied endeavors in the 9 years since that magical run to the New York State playoffs, a feat that hasn't been duplicated since or prior.
Tonight we celebrate the careers of 3 outstanding athletes and 1 team who set their marks as student athletes and who have used their skills they gained from athletics to positively influence others. It is an honor to induct these individuals as they join the many that have come before them. So let us begin today's evening ceremony as we relive the athletic careers with everyone here tonight. We will begin with Brian Stolt. Presenting for Brian Stolt, Rob Curran, head varsity football coach, 2013 to 2019. Come on up, Rob.
Nice sweater.
Thank you. Thank you. I also want to note that I coached many of the members of that 2015 softball team in modified basketball, and I'd like to take a little bit of their athletic credit for planting some seeds there as well. Ken, Sandy, thank you so much. To say that it's a joy to be here again is an understatement. Really, really happy to be here with all of you and see these familiar faces and families and spouses and babies, and certainly making me feel my age tonight. But thank you again, ladies and gentlemen, Wall of Fame nominees, members, and honored guests. It's an honor to be here tonight to speak on behalf of Brian Stolt as he is inducted into the Athletic Wall of Fame. Brian has long been a favorite student, player, and person of mine, and I'm extremely proud. Most of the fact that we are still very close today, almost a decade or over a decade after his graduation. My relationship with Brian began when he was in 6th grade. Only when I met him, I had no idea that he was a 6th grader. It was early in my time here. I was serving as an assistant varsity coach, and I walked out into the practice field in August, and I saw Brian talking with other members of the coaching staff. And my first thought was that we'd hired another coach, or at the very least, some student teacher had come in and was gonna get some assistant coaching on their resume. But it took me a little bit longer than I'm comfortable to admit to realize that Brian was actually just gearing up for his 6th grade AJF season in science classes with Mateki and was 3 solid years away from high school. I thought at first he was an adult. As Kenny said, he's in Tempe right now. getting ready for the ASU game tomorrow night. But if there's any, I wouldn't have expected Brian to be anywhere else on a Friday night in the fall. And if you knew him growing up, then you knew this would be his path. And it's the qualities that he displayed as a student athlete while he was here at Alden that certainly led him to where he is. As a coach, Brian was a dream. As a first-year head coach, Brian was a necessity. Coaches get way too much credit, and this works both ways. They get too much credit when things are bad. They get too much credit when things are good. Players make a team. Coaches can certainly set a standard, and they can set expectations, but it's players that make a team and uphold a culture. And to Brian's credit and many of the people in this room, the golden age that Coach Partel just alluded to, certainly that's true of that. Brian absolutely did this. His devotion and his consistency as a player were unparalleled, and he always conducted himself in a manner that was beyond his age. He would delete his social media accounts during football season so he wouldn't get distracted. I had to put a curfew on when he could call me during weeknights at 10 p.m., game planning calls, so that I was at least assured he was getting proper sleep. And he was never afraid. As a high school adolescent, he was never afraid to hold his teammates accountable. And this was only made easy for him because no one held him to a standard higher than he did for himself. In the years we worked together, Brian was late for practice once, and his dog died that day. And I remember watching him sprint onto the field just after stretch and lead his huddles, though his eyes were full of tears. Never one day in working with him did I have to urge, remind, or inspire him to be his best. This is why when you read the bio in the program here, the list of accomplishments and awards and accolades seems to go on and on. Much more importantly, the qualities that he illustrated as a student athlete are still at play today as he continues to achieve, coach at a high level, and do all of this as a good man, a person that we can all collectively be proud of as a member of our community. Every coach should have an opportunity to work with a player like Brian. It's rare to find someone who always puts the needs of the team above the needs of himself, a player with an undying sense of loyalty and the ability to inspire the very best out of those around him. And not just his teammates, but out of his coaches as well. And that's what he did for me. He made me want to be better as a coach. I carry that with me in my coaching today. I wanted to match Brian's work ethic. For these and so many other reasons, some of which have been shared here, Brian truly deserves the recognition and this honor. I'm lucky to have worked with him, and I'm better because of him. Congratulations, Brian. Congratulations, Stolt family. May this enshrinement serve as a constant reminder throughout these halls of the qualities associated with excellence, dedication, and consistency. Thank you very much. Yes. Okay. And then Ken and Debbie, if you could come up to accept his plaque.
Thank you. Come on over here, Rob. Would you give it to him?
Yeah. You want me to give it to him? Thanks.
Thank you.
Here, do you want this for the scrapbook?
Brian pre-recorded a message for everybody here, so we're going to play that for him since he's very busy right now.
Older at 10, but it's a tremendous honor. And I just want to start off by thanking the committee for taking the opportunity to, in terms of my family, to use the best for last approach when it comes to going up on the wall of fame, starting with my brother, and then my father, and then myself, leaving the door open for my mother to go up last. I see what they're doing there, and don't let her fool you, she's the most competitive of us all, so that's well done. But I really want to just congratulate all the other people going up tonight. Nick Orlowski, I could remember him just winning tons of awards, and then the 2015 softball team, their run I vividly remember, and all the hard work they put in as a team to earn that opportunity. And then lastly, my teammate Phil Zobrist. Phil, I could go on and on about, but you know, the two things that I really remember and just truly think that was unbelievable was with Phil was his work ethic and his toughness. Phil worked as hard as anybody. I can remember going into the weight room early in the mornings with him when Coach Carl would open it up, and then, you know, with his toughness, just, you know, he would battle through injuries all the time. He had, I think, a dislocated shoulder at one point, a bum leg at the stadium that he played through, and, you know, Phil could do it all. He was, at one point, played receiver for us, then he played tight end, and then he was an offensive lineman, and then, by the way, he played on the basketball team and had a valuable role, but then he could also wrestle. And then, as an offensive lineman, he ran the 400 in track, but then he could also throw the shot put, and he was good at all of them. And really, what I most probably admired about him was he was such a good leader, and he could hold people accountable. And the fact that, you know, there were times where probably maybe even him and I didn't always see eye to eye on everything, but we both had the same best interests at hand, and that was we wanted to win more than anyone. And that's just something I'll always respect about him. And that's why he was a Division I athlete, because he was smart and worked so hard, and I'm so thankful to call him my teammate and friend, and he's great, and he definitely deserves this honor, and it's, you know, congratulations, Phil. But like Phil, I had so many amazing teammates, and that's what I really think about when it comes down to this. And I can name so many of them, and I'm going to leave somebody off, but so many teammates that just turned into great friendships between Brandon Osborne, Mike Steffen, Alex Darrell, Austin Velasco, Zach Miner, Jordan Stockweather, Dylan Riddock, Timmy Pelletier, all these guys. They're just great teammates, but even better friends. And you know, there's one teammate there that I didn't mention because I have a story about him, but Austin Hopshow, you know, one of my best friends, you know, him and I grew up together, and his favorite sport was baseball. And going into our senior year, Austin got a bad update that, you know, he had an elbow injury and he wasn't going to be able to play his dream senior season. And, you know, he decided to play football, and thank God, because he made me a lot better that season and our team. And he was a huge piece of it. But really, you know, going to that spring with baseball, you know, it was a unique situation that our team only had like 2 or 3 seniors on, and myself being one of them. We had a ton of sophomores, these young, talented sophomores. I mentioned earlier, Dylan, Jordan, Timmy. They were all really good players. We were just young. And I viewed that season as one of the most fun seasons I was ever a part of, because it was an opportunity to lead those guys, help them get better, and then they end up, by the time they're seniors, going and playing sectional championships. So that was great to see. But with Austin, you know, every time I took that field that season, I just, you know, fought for him, and I owed it to him to make sure that I made the most of that season, because I know he wanted to be out there as much as anyone. And you know, stuff like that makes high school sports really special. But really, you know, turning it to football, I think about just how hard we worked. And you know, I'm around the game a lot still, and you know, I hear college coaches talk all the time about how they wish their players would spend more time outside of what's required to put in that extra time and get better. Like, how bad do the players want it? Well, I think about our time at Alden when we were in high school, and we were doing that stuff on our own. We would go work out multiple days a week, and we'd get up there and we'd organize it ourselves. And I had so many teammates that were up there, and we wanted it so bad. And we put in the time, and then we would take that field, and we would be successful, and then we'd come off that field after the game and see a community support that was like anything, not like anything else I've ever seen. And, you know, for myself, I would go over there and I'd see my family, and I'd see my grandpa standing by the white pole, and, you know, we never had to do that after a loss coming off that field, because we won every time, and we earned that. And it's just, there were so many special things that we accomplished, and again, because we had so many people that were a part of it. And I could think of so many parents, the Hopshes, the Palisades, the Houstons, the Johnsons, the Stockwellers, the Zelascos, the Fosses, all these people who were part of it, who had us at their houses growing up, who, took us to games, took us to camps, you name it, that were all just such a big part of what we accomplished. And then on top of it, I think about what was so unique about Alden and so good about it. Again, you hear so many stories about the owner doesn't get along with the GM, or the GM doesn't get along with the coach, or whatever the case may be. At Alden, from the top, starting with Adam Stoltman, to the administration, with Bill McCowan, with teachers, other staff in the building, to the parents, to the players, there was so much alignment. And that was such a special thing about the place. And you don't get that everywhere. And that's something that, looking back, I'm just so appreciative of it, because everybody wanted us to do well. And that's what makes it so incredible. But talking about my coaches, with Andy Smith, Jim Helmicki, Ken Partel, Mike Stepnick, Mike Matecki, Frank Bundy, there were so many that I played for, and Rob Curran. And Coach Curran and I, we go pretty far back, and he, becoming the head coach my senior year, it was not an easy situation for him to come into, because, there were very high expectations. We made it to the sectional championship, how many other years in a row before that. We had a good team coming back. He was replacing a very successful head coach, and I just think about the job he did that season. And I hear a lot about how coaches always wanted to empower their players and make it fun for them. Well, Coach Curran was way ahead of his time, and he's somebody that's such a role model for me, somebody I still look up to this day, stay in touch with, and he's constantly just having such an impact on the lives of so many students, and that's why he's one of the best. And I'm thankful for all those names that I mentioned, all those coaches, just my relationships with them, because they're truly, I would go back and do it all over again in a heartbeat. And then lastly, I just want to end with this story here. So this past off season, I got to interview for a job. Spoiler alert, I did not get it, but you'll see the point here in a second. So leading up to the job, it was a big opportunity. It was the coach position that I didn't really have a ton of experience with, but it was something I was pretty fired up about. And I had a week to prepare for it, and I was given what was going to basically be an interview. So I'm prepping all this stuff, and I got to know the assignment of all the players and the technique of all the players versus any sort of formation and call and what their adjustments are. And then I got to think about, okay, how many people are on the interview committee? I got to make sure I have enough binders and all the stressful things that I'm just making sure that I'm checking all my boxes and I have it perfect. Well, the day before the interview, I get one more update just about, hey, just make sure you have this one little piece in there. And mind you, I'm talking to some of the best football coaches that I've ever met in my life during this interview. So there's a lot of pressure. They're going to know if I'm, wrong about something or not crossing my T's. But then they let me know about this one part, and I'm like, oh, okay, that's simple. I'll be able to cover that. Well, the night goes on, and I'm, getting ready for the interview, and I'm studying, I'm kind of rehearsing it a little bit, and I just keep stumbling over this one part, and it was that part in the interview where you talk about your family and where you're from and how much they need you. And I could go on and on about my parents and the opportunities they provided me for me in my life. They wanted me to do the best, and they were, my mother, she was there for me the whole time, always is. My dad, some people, they're born and their father wasn't an athlete at all, had, my dad was a coach, he was a teacher, and he had such an impact in my life. And then, with my brother as well, he's the biggest role model of my life, still is, and, he set the standard in my life, and he made it very easy for me, because all I had to do was watch what he did and try and do it better, and quite honestly, I probably didn't. So, I'm just so thankful for them, and, a lot, again, in coaching, you hear about guys getting jobs because their dad was Bill Belichick, and, whatever the case may be. In my career, I may not have that advantage, per se, and you hear the analogy being born on third base. Well, in my career, maybe I'm not born on third base, but in my life, I know I was because of my parents. And, with the opportunities they've given me, if I don't wake up each day and make the most of that, that'd absolutely be criminal. And I'm so thankful for them. And I just can't say enough about them. And, lastly, with the game tonight, I hope to hear that the Bulldogs took care of business and did great, and Coach Buno's done an incredible job with that program. And, I just want to thank everybody for listening to me for probably too long tonight, but, again, congratulations to everybody, and everybody have a great night. Thank you.
Next up, we have Nick Orlowski. Presenting for Nick tonight is Coach Ed Carl, the head varsity cross country coach and head varsity track coach from 2006 to 2021.
That's that really quick. Thanks. I'm not much of a public speaker, but when Nick Orlowski came up to me and asked me to present him with this award, I was honored to do so. So I did what all good kids would do. I took all the information, data, typed it in the computer, and I told AI, I go, make me a speech. It came out, the speech was beautiful, eloquent, and I said, I can't say that. Everyone will know that's not me. So I threw that one out, and I'm going to do what I do best. I'm going to speak from the heart. Nick Orlowski, the things you accomplished in such a short time. You came to our program as an 8th grader, and you turned heads. Everyone knew who you were by the time you were a freshman. Nick joined the cross-country team and took our program to a whole new level. As I coached him throughout the season, I was like, I got to do something new. This kid is so fast that I got to change my coaching strategy. If you know anything about Nick, he's all about the numbers. Nick is actually an accountant, I found out. So he would come to me with, Coach, I got to be here at a certain time. You got to run down here. You got to be at the 800. You got to be at the mile. And I'm looking at him. I'm like, I'm 50 years old. I ain't going to be able to run to the mile marker or the 2 mile. So I told Nick, I'll do the best I can. We crunched numbers. He said, trust in the numbers. And that's exactly what we did for the next 4 years. Nick compiled absolutely amazing records. He went to the state meet 4 years in a row. And when you think about 4 years in a row, cross country takes the top 5 runners, and Nick was able to make the top 5 runners out of hundreds of people in section 6. In that beautiful mind of his, that matrix mind of his, he was able to come up with stats for cross country, and he was showing to me during our advisement. He's like, Coach, this kid's got a running ratio of this. I got to be here. I got to get faster. So we changed the whole coaching atmosphere. Kids started getting better around him. Kids started looking up to him and said, hey, I want to be like Nick. He made kind of running cool, if you could believe that or not. So I give a lot of kudos to Nick for doing that. His famous thing was, trust the stopwatch, and the clock doesn't lie. So that's our motto. We went with that. So he was an inspiration, his dedication to the team. He wasn't selfish. He was good, and he brought everyone around him. He made them good. Nick was a 3-sport athlete. Cross country, obviously, track and field, and swimming. I can't speak much about his swimming because I heard he really wasn't that good at it, but he did it to cross train. So he had a lot of accolades. I could spend the whole night talking about him, but I'm just going to point out a few of them to you. Nick Orlowski for cross country, he was the captain 2008, 9, and 10, and that's voted by your teammates. So that tells you a lot that if your teammates are voting you captain, it must be something pretty impressive. He was a Letterman's Winners Award, 2007, 8, 9, and 10, his whole high school career. Amazing. He was the first boy to win the Bulldog Stampede. He was the first boy to win the ECI's championship. He was the first boy to qualify for the Federation meet, which he placed 7th in. He was named to the first team All-Western New York 2009 and 2010. In track and field, he was amazing. He was the captain 2010 and 11, a Letterman's Award 2010 and 11. He set 2 records. He set the 2-mile record here at Alden, and he set the steeplechase record here. Nick went to the state meet from track and field. He ran the 4x8, he ran the 2-mile, and he also ran the steeplechase. Nick was an amazing track athlete. You could ask him to do anything. He would come up, he'd say, what do you need me to do? I'll do whatever you gotta do. He ran the 4 longest events. He ran 4x8, he ran the 800, he ran the mile, and he ran the 2-mile, all in one meet. And it's pretty impressive when you think about it. And he would take first in most of them. He will go down in history as a leading scorer all time for track and field. Bumping out some pretty impressive people like Phil. He only beat you by 100 points, so that's pretty impressive. After high school, he attended Niagara University, where he participated in cross country and track and field. He earned several awards there. He won Outstanding Athlete at Niagara University. I could go on and on. With all that being said, Nick paved the way for the future and the success that Alden has seen in the past decade. He's a driving force that has made students want to run. Nick is truly deserving of this honor. I'm proud to introduce you to Nick Orlowski.
Raise the microphone up.
Raise it up. That's not fun. Here you go. Congratulations. It's an honor.
I appreciate it. I'll keep it short and sweet. First of all, I want to thank the committee for this tremendous honor. It really is tremendous to be recognized with the rest of the recipients here tonight. The softball team, I know you guys were after my time, but congratulations on how far you guys went. Brian for his continued success with football, coaching, and everything he's doing now. Phil, I remember the track meets with you. You were a gazelle out there doing everything and anything that you could do to be where we were as a team and be as successful as we are. And I want to thank my family for being here tonight. My dad being at all the meets, his dad taking pictures, getting mile splits when Coach Carla can get to mile 1 or 3. It's about a mile away, so good luck beating him out there. And being able to have this ability, have this talent, it really is something that a lot of us, I think, take for granted, and now coaching collegiately, coaching some people on the side, it gives you a good perspective of what we had at that time and what we continue to do as athletes with these gifts that we have, coaching and giving back and making impacts on other people's lives. And I think, as we grow into these coaching realms and into these community realms, being involved, I think having that impact on other people has an impact on future generations and allows you to grow and mold the future of athletes. And how much to say? Again, thank you to my family for being here, my fiance for continuing to support me and her family, and go Bills.
Presenting for Phil Zobrist is Ken Partella, Assistant Football Coach 2003 to 2017, Head Varsity Boys Track Coach 2013 till present.
Well, I'm very honored to be here today to talk about Phil Zobrist, one of the people on my very short list of favorite people in the world. Truth be told, though, Phil didn't only pick me to give this speech tonight. It was a bit of an odd ask, but Phil asked me to wrestle Coach Carl, and the victor would have the honors. So sorry, Phil, but in an act of self-preservation, I decided to just snatch the honor myself and not tell Coach Carl till just now. I would also be remiss if I didn't lead with this. As I'm sure many of you know already, Phil is getting married to Alden Wall of Fame Class of 2022 inductee, fellow New York State discus champion, also on my very short list of favorite people in the world, tomorrow, Miranda Dogger. So nice. I met Phil in 2008 when he was an already tall 7th grader, and he signed up to wrestle for the first time ever. It was my first year as coach modified there, my first and only year. And that year, Phil ended up leading the team in wins and pins, even though there were many other experienced wrestlers on that team. The next year in 8th grade, he became one of only 3 students I ever taught to earn a perfect score of 100 on the New York State Social Studies assessment. Even middle school, Phil Zobrist was elite. Plainly put, Phil is the complete package. He's an elite athlete, he's an exceptional intellect, and he has the willingness to grind every day, as Brian Stolt mentioned there. It was common every day, coming off the practice field or from the discus circle or the shot put ring, Phil would be the last one there. He had the given talent to not have to do that, but the fact that he put that time in still is the reason for a lot of his success. There's a lot of people that will have that talent and they'll hang their hat on that and they'll ride it out. Phil didn't. It seemed at times there was no sacrifice too great for him to make, no sacrifice of time, commitment, energy, for him to try to seize that excellence that he was after. I remember finding out, in fact, after a JV football game, to speak to this toughness Brian Stolt mentioned, that he played through that football game with a separated shoulder. As AD, I'm required to tell you, kids tell your coach if you get injured. But he played just as a measure of his toughness. He played through the entire game like that. All the while, though, with all this talent, Phil was still an extremely coachable athlete. He not only accepted the constructive criticism, he craved it. He demanded it from his coaches. He wanted to get better. Phil has a great radar for someone who's fake, and he's not real, he doesn't take a compliment real easily. He wants to get better. He wants to know what he can do better. And again, that's something that helped him to excel. On the football field, there were times when it seemed like there must be more than one Phil Zobrist on that field. Defensively, he was everywhere, just caused complete havoc for the other side of the field. The other team had to account for that number 78 every single play, offense or defense. He used his exceptional size, speed, strength, and intelligence to defensively shut down an entire side of the field. Many people, again, if born with those talents, wouldn't work hard to achieve what he did achieve. He wasn't satisfied. He ends up finishing as a top 10 finalist for the Trench Trophy Award given to the top lineman in Western New York as a senior. He was also known for his clutch athleticism. When the moment was big, Phil was at his best. He always reserved his very best for when those stakes were at their highest. At the 2014 Track and Field State Championship, where he went and competed in both shot and disc in Syracuse, Phil ended up being locked in a battle with a discus thrower from New Paltz in New York City. Each thrower seemed to trade PR after PR, but Phil's final throw, a PR of 2 feet from his throw going into the meet, ended up edging out his opponent by a mere 2 inches. Okay, so in the big spotlight, he came through with what he needed there. But still, based on that distance, he qualified for the next day at the Federation meet, where he competed against the best from all the small, large, and private schools across the state. So even though he had that state championship in the small schools under his belt, he left no doubt in the mind of that New Paltz competitor. He bombed out a PR 6 feet further than his throw the day before, which was already a PR by a couple feet, making him the second best discus thrower in Alden history. So on his very last day competing as a high school athlete, his senior year, when the lights shined the brightest, Phil brought his very best. Dependability was another one of his trademarks. You could count on Phil to be there. The moment never got too big. In the sport of track and field, Phil was like a Swiss Army knife. He started as a strong 400-meter runner and jumper. When given the chance his junior year, after there was some graduation, and he was able to switch over to the throws. He once even signed up to compete in a pentathlon-only meet at Depew, simply because he wanted to get another chance at a PR in the shot put. Even though the other 4 pent events, the high jump, the long jump, these events were kind of just for kicks for him. Okay, he came there and went through the whole thing, and he was leading the entire field of just, these are the pentathletes that go to this event. He was leading everybody. I'm still not sure what happened, but when we got to the mile run at the end, he was leading the whole stinking thing before he shockingly pulled up with a bum hamstring on that final leg about 200 meters in, but he was leading the way then. He left his greatest mark in the throws, of course, where he went to a 2014 New York State Small School Championship and won the whole thing. Seemingly, he could do it all. In this millennium, Phil's the 5th highest track male point earner. After his Alden career, he earned a scholarship ride to play D1 football at Holy Cross. Over that 4-year collegiate career, he played defensive end along with special teams. He was also recruited by the track and field team to throw shot, disc, and the weight throw. The athlete, Phil Zobrist, can be described with many choice words. The word I choose is dominant. But the person, Phil Zobrist, is the reason for that dominance. He demanded excellence from himself and his teammates. He lifted whole teams. He put in the sweat currency to fully utilize the gifts that he was born with. Please join me in welcoming Phil Zobrist to the stage to formally accept this most deserved honor.
Thank you. Well, I could not be here without all the coaches that have spoke. For starters, Coach Curran, I would not have gotten that full ride if it weren't for all the emails and all the calls that we put in my senior year. I truly appreciate it. I would not be where I am in my life without your efforts. Coach Carl, a lot of that encouragement probably can't speak of here because, well, that's how you encourage people. But it worked. So, and then Coach Bartel, I don't think there's too many athlete-coach experiences where you can say you had the same coach for 10, 11 seasons. But I truly respect you as one of the better people I know in my life, and I still, I will tell people when I'm working or in life, like, act like a professional, and it's kind of a running joke because Coach Bartel would say it to me when I wasn't acting entirely professional, but again, it worked. Frankly, I don't know that I put the same value in the Hall of Fame that I did when I was walking through these halls now, but I respect the hell out of it because when I was walking through these halls, I cared. I looked at the people on the wall and I thought, like, what did they do to get there? And I wanted to do that so that I could be there. So I care that I'm part of the tradition, and I want people in the future to care about that tradition so they can be their best. I appreciate everyone's work, my family, friends, all the people at Alden that put a lot of effort in so that we could be our best. And I hope everyone can be their best going forward. Sorry I didn't take 12 minutes like Brian, but he always did push us to be our best, even if it was 12 minutes long. So appreciate it. Thank you.
The 2015 varsity softball team was truly a team in every sense of the word. They knew they were good, but who could have imagined that with just 2 seniors, they would accomplish what they did. The chemistry on the team continued to grow stronger as the season progressed. By the time the playoffs started, the team was constantly finding new ways to win in any fashion the moment dictated. The team got hot and won 5 consecutive games with multiple heroes in each game. The girls won regional championships games in dramatic style. For those who were part of it, it was fun and palpable excitement. were unforgettable. To reach the Final Four in New York State, an incredible ride that few coaches and athletes ever get to experience. The 2015 team found a way to get there and defy the odds. Presenting and accepting the award, Jeff Krizik, head coach of the varsity softball team.
Well, as they say in baseball and softball, we're batting cleanup, so we're the fourth one up tonight. So I've been coaching the varsity softball team for about 23 years now, and seen a lot of great teams over the years. But today I want to really recognize the 2015 softball team, because it was very special. The 2015 softball team was made up of 15 individuals with a passion for softball that played as a team with the heart of champions. The path to the state championship tournaments began by beating Newfane in the quarterfinals 14-5. Then City Honors 3-2 in the semifinals. Next up was the Depew Wildcats for the Class B1 championship. The game was played at Niagara Field. Alden won 4-2. Jenna Wolostowski had 3 big hits in this game, and there were multiple other contributors. The team was pumped for success when they traveled back to Niagara Field for the B crossover game against Fredonia. The Lady Bulldogs gave momentum in the 5th inning and defeated Fredonia 7-6 in the slugfest. Brittany Jordan and Vicki Atkins had key hits, and Laura Kratzky hit 2 home runs in this contest. I still remember those home runs. I think everybody on that team and anybody who was there was just an incredible sight. Those home runs helped secure the win for Alden and a trip to the Far West Regional Championship game. Alden would play Bath Hammerling. This game was very close, the lead changing sides several times. Alden was losing 3-4 in the top of the 7th inning when Kratzky hit a home run to tie the game. I think that was over the center field fence, wasn't it, Laura? After that home run, the game was tied. And Morgan Rutan, the bases got loaded, and Morgan Rutan got hit by a pitch with bases loaded to push Delaney Kepner over home plate to get the go-ahead run. In the bottom of the 7th inning, Bath was aggressive on the bases, but it backfired. The play to end the game when the Bath base runner overran second base, and with quick thinking, the ball was thrown to Alyssa Gadd at shortstop, who tagged the girl out. This was a phenomenal play we practiced all week. The last hurdle was the state championship Final Four. Unfortunately, in this game, the Ichabod Crane pitcher had a killer rise ball. Ichabod Crane got lucky, scoring only 1 run in the 4th inning. Kratzky tossed a 3-hitter in this 1-0 loss. Ichabod Crane went on to win the state championship by several runs over their opponent. Although Alden did not win the game at the state championship, this trip was one never accomplished before and after since 2015. I was lucky to be part of this experience as Alden's head coach, along with assistant coaches Sandy Gauthier and Lance Kay. In closing, I would like to say congrats to the 2015 softball team. No one can ever take away what we accomplished. I'm so proud of these athletes then and now and the adults that they have become. There's a short video. After the video, we'll have the team come on. Thank you.
Set up for the softball game. So big back, he said, Rachel Alden all the way out there. Give us the story behind the success of that team.
Great, Andy. There is so much excitement here. We're getting ready for a big Mickey out of the crowd for just a second. Mickey, congratulations, first of all. I know you girls are so pumped. The celebration, just how does it feel to have the whole school really celebrating? What can people expect to see if they want to come send you off?
We're really excited because, like, first time our school has ever been able to go to, like, something like this, and it's really, like, interesting because everybody's coming out and supporting us. So when I have the 5 p.m., we're going to be, like, running out and going on the bus, so it's really exciting.
Thank you so much. And Laura, really quickly, just tell me what you've done to get here.
It's really hard to get here, it's a hard road, but I'm very proud of us and very excited to play.
Thank you so much, Laura. A lot of hard work. They head to Albany today. We just want to wish them the best. The bus will be coming at about 6:45. We expect a lot of students to come here as well to root on the team. Wish them so much. All the love ladies are all the people here in Albany, of course. They're just so excited by the way, and people around us as well. Wish you girls a lot. Live in Albany, Rachel Alfonso and Eyewitness News. Andy?
Hey, that's all. It's going to be nice, but out there, you're not going to get rained on before they go away here to.
This team could come up and we'll present them with the
The
awards.
2015 team, why don't you come up?
Congratulations, ladies. It's a great achievement in 2015. None of us will ever forget that.